All right, we are live. So, welcome everyone. The first thing I would like to ask you to do is write in the chat section, in the comments, if you can hear me well, if the sound is good, and we can proceed. So, while you do this, let me tell the introduction part. This is a live Q&A for new and experienced project managers. So everyone are welcome here from all industries, not only IT. And the big idea is that, again, it's a live Q&A, and I'm here to answer your questions. I will share a few tips and tricks from my side, but in general, I want to dedicate this time to you, and I want to help you to understand project management in a better way, to do your work in a better way so that you get that recognition that is so hard to get as a project manager. So, for those of you who are joining for the first time and maybe you don't know me, let me quickly introduce myself. So, my name is Dmitro Nizhbetsky. I'm a project management mentor for more than 12 years already. And I'm running this YouTube channel for about 5 years, I think, and also the IT PM School website. So we have almost 50,000 subscribers, about 200 videos, and also you may know me by the book, this one, Practical Project Management. If you have a copy, say so in the comments. I would like to know how many of you actually got it. So, again, for those who has just joined, I would like to repeat that this is a live Q&A. So prepare your questions, but give me some context so that I can understand from what side, from what perspective to give you an answer. And while you recollect your biggest questions, I will walk you through one key idea that I think is one of the best tips I can give to any project manager who either starts right now or want to improve their project management knowledge and skills. So, and this concept is life cycle, project life cycle. If we are talking about specifically IT industry, and I'll use it as an example, but the principles and ideas are the same. You will have your project broken down in phases. Every project lifecycle is just a set of phases through which this project needs to get through to create all the pieces required for project success. Now, the main idea here is that in every industry, in every niche of that industry, you will have just a few typical life cycles that were tested, that work well, that they are typical. There is no way to invent a wheel. So if we talk about IT industry, you will usually have this software development life cycle. And even if you have an IT part to it or hardware part of it, it will be somewhere along these lines as well. Now, the biggest thing here, like to learn and to understand, to improve your project management skills is to identify two things. You need to understand the nature of work which happens in each of these phases, what people actually do, how do you organize their work, what tools, processes, and templates you can use in each of those phases. And the second part is understanding the typical deliverables that comes from those phases of a project. So, for example, if we are talking about this large IT project lifecycle with these typical phases, we can clearly say that, okay, in initiation, we usually will have a document, a typical deliverable project chart. If we are talking about conceptual design, there will be some design document, maybe wireframes, maybe something else to outline the product or service we try to create. In the architecture phase, we will want to create architecture design document. And again, if you think about it, we are talking about that, okay, some big phases of the project focus on just creating the documents like charter, design documentation, architecture design document. But you need to also understand what it takes to create this document as a final deliverable that you will use in all further activities of the project. That how do you create it in such a way that you can give it to your stakeholders? So here's the main takeaway. If you want to improve your project management and you want to improve the chances of success of those projects, you need to focus on identifying the life cycle for your current project. Either you identify it through your experience or you research the internet to see the typical life cycles and you try to see if you need all these phases or you need to select some of these phases for your current project. And then you identify the typical deliverables. So what is a deliverable? That's another must-have topic, must-have term that you need to understand on a deeper level. A deliverable is everything like tangible or intangible result of your work that is required for this project to proceed or to be successful in the end. So again, documentation, your user stories, your requirements, backlog, if we're talking about software development, some requirements traceability metrics, or if we talk about the phase where you develop your product already, there will be a new version of the product. And you will create a lot of intermediate versions of the product while you develop it from scratch. Even if you use agile frameworks, the idea is the same. So every iteration, for example, you will have a new deliverable, which will be your interim version. At some point, you will create a final version of your product, and it will be the final deliverable of the project. But even if it's a final product or final deliverable of the project, as you can see, you will need to get through other phases to get this deliverable in certain place, like a marketplace or production environment or whatever. So if you know what deliverables you need to create, if you know what are the main pieces, what are typical pieces, you will be able to organize your work around deliverables. And the idea is that there shouldn't be a single task that you or your project team or your stakeholders do, which you cannot attach to one of the deliverables. So every task should contribute to one of the deliverables. And if you organize the work in this manner, you will quickly notice that, okay, all the processes, all the techniques in project management start to click, they start to work. So if you do estimation, all you need to do is to break down deliverables into smaller pieces and then into specific tasks that you need to do. And if you estimate all those tasks and you think through all the possible work that is required, you will get the estimate for the deliverable. And you can plan it out then on a Gantt chart and create this deliverable. And by the way, one more important tip from practical experience: you should always work towards a deliverable, towards finishing one of the deliverables of the project. And at the same time, you should not work on way too many deliverables. So 3, maybe 5 deliverables at a time for a big team is more than enough. Otherwise, you will spread too thin and nothing gets done. So again, deliverables become a context for communication with stakeholders, with subject matter experts, with your team, for all the meetings. You should start, okay, we are working on, we need to create an architecture design document at the end of this phase. So what should we do? Let's break it down. What information we need to collect? Who will write the document? Who will edit it? Who will approve it? And so on and so on. And everything happens in the context of one or other deliverable. So again, everything that you do, every task, including all the expenses, all the efforts, all the risks, issues, defects, all the communication, all the documents that you create should contribute to creating one of these deliverables. If you can organize your work this way, that will give so much transparency to your project team, to stakeholders and project owners. And the main idea is that you will apply the same breakdown of your project. You will create the same entities inside your project management tool so that you can track them as you track them inside your head. So everyone works towards a deliverable. All right. This is the main idea. And from my experience, like for, I don't know, hundreds of project managers that I teach, this is the main concept that slips away even after I explain it for multiple times. Yes, we understand this. And then when we get into real world where we have stakeholders, we have all this chaos, we forget that we actually need to organize the work into deliverables and track it this way, because it's one of the best ways. Instead, people start looking just one step ahead and doing one task at a time, never looking where this task contributes. And in the end, we are doing everything at once, and we're not finishing anything at the end of the day. All right, this is my top question that I would ask any project manager to explain to me if I were like 12 years ago at the start of my career. All right, so now I want you to start posting your questions. I will try to answer them. You can ask any questions about project management, leadership, how to run projects, what's the best tools to use. I don't know, whatever bothers you, whatever you cannot find on the internet, or you want some opinion on a matter. And while you type your questions, I want just to show you one more slide. First of all, if you think that, okay, I'm in an agile world, I don't have all these deliverables, I don't have all this stuff, I don't have even the project lifecycle because we start from sprint 0 and we go. It's not true. Basically, it's just the way you see it on this slide. You have all these phases. You simply slice them one sprint at a time, and you do all this work like a big piece each sprint. And then at the end of the day, it's just such small projects. They are not large IT projects, but small projects. They are dealing with just one main deliverable, which is like interim versions of your product, which then become the final deliverable, the final gold master or release candidate that goes into production. The rest ideas stay the same. Okay, so this is the concept that is a must-have for you to become a senior project manager. And that's why I'm super excited to invite you to my workshop that will happen in the end of September. There will be 3 days workshop where I will help you to position yourself and develop a career development plan that will get you to a senior level role as a project manager or your next level role. And I'll tell you about the best resume format. I will tell you how to describe your experience so that recruiters see you as a senior project manager. And at the end, it will all end up as a career development plan. The good thing about what you'll learn at this workshop is that it's a repeatable framework. No matter what stage of your career you are right now, you will use the same steps, the same principles over and over again. You will just select your next level job and you develop your career development plan to reach that job. So I'm super pumped about it. There is so much value that I already foresee for you. That's why I want you to do right now is like, if you're interested, check the link in the description, register for this workshop or scan this barcode thing with your phone. And that's it. Like it's free of charge, 3 days, full immersion workshop with me online. And after that, you are good to go to your next level job. All right, guys, let's get back to our comments. Let me see. All right, sounds good. I have some students here. Hi, Yulia. Okay, question number 1. I see one. Hi, I'm looking to shift my career to IT project management. 13 years of project management, capital F100 project. However, struggling with the interview as interviewers expect their real life experience. All right, so we've been talking about how to get into the IT multiple times during our last call, but I'll repeat the main ideas because it's a very common challenge that people have. The problem that interviewers expect the real life example or maybe experience of running software development projects using Scrum, Kanban, or something like that is because they don't see your capabilities in your resume. Most probably, what you have on your resume is that you say, okay, I have these responsibilities. For 13 years, I've been doing this, and that. I've been managing projects, managing teams, communicating with stakeholders, writing reports, and stuff like that. At your level of experience, like whether you have real life experience or whether you understand some technology, shouldn't be the critical factor anymore. Your resume should communicate that you know how to generate additional value, that you know how to organize any work, that you don't need practical or technical background to work with technical experts. Like the concept about deliverables and organizing the work around deliverables. That's one of the key skills that will separate you from this bulk of IT project managers who apply for the same roles. So I assume, and you can correct me if you actually followed my advice and your resume still describes you as a project manager through typical responsibilities of a project manager, rather than positions you as an expert who can organize any kind of work in any environment because you have so much experience and so much skills in project management that some real life experience building a software or IT infrastructure is like not a problem for you because you will apply the same principles of project management and leadership. All right. I hope I answered this question. So the idea is that you must position yourself as a person who is capable to generate additional value while running projects, and this additional value comes from all sorts of improvements in project management and organization. Then the conversation will stop being about your skills, about your certifications, about your responsibilities. It will be about, oh, we want the same thing implemented in our company. That's how the interview should go. All right. I'm interested whether info in your book is applicable in agile environment. In agile, the planning is supposed to be much simpler than described in the book. Yes, that's totally correct. If we are talking about the book is more like describes the general project management framework. The the concept you need to understand that this framework is scalable. You can use the same tools, the same processes to the amount that is required for your current project, which means that, okay, I'm in an agile environment where I need to plan my project on a high level on the scale of sprints. So in this case, you will use the same ideas of planning a project or scheduling a project, but you will do it on a higher level. You will most probably plan out sprints, like full capacity sprints, and give the timeline in with the unit of measurement of 2 weeks. So yes, correct, but that doesn't relieve you from understanding project management concepts, because very often what you will see is that, yeah, you're running your project team following the Scrum framework or Kanban framework, and from time to time, some very authoritative stakeholder will come and say, okay, this feature is super important for us, and I want you to create a Gantt chart and show me when each task will be done, who is going to do it, and what are the dependencies. And suddenly you end up in like Scrum Master's shoes, but you need to apply all the project management skills. That's why it's a mindset or identity problem. You see yourself as a Scrum Master, and Scrum, as for me, is just one framework in a vast knowledge domain of project management. Yes, you can run projects using Scrum. There are pros and cons to Scrum. There are some projects that cannot be run traditional way. I totally get it. What's more important is that what is in your head. Do you perceive yourself as a Scrum Master who doesn't want even to touch all those heavy, hard project management skills? Or you are a senior or efficient project manager who is capable of using all the tools they know and apply them based on the need of the project. So basically, if you learned the project management framework from my book, it's very comprehensive. It allows you to run any project, and still it's very simplified compared to PMI's approach. And if you take from it some pieces and you say, okay, these are good ideas that I can use if I need to, but I know the step-by-step approach to create a Gantt chart. Maybe at this project I don't need it right now, so I don't force my project into that framework. But at some periods of time, at some critical moments, I may need to use them. And that's why you often hear this metaphor that project management is actually a toolbox full of different tools. And there are hammers, there are microscopes, and you just need to know when to use which tool. That's all. So don't ever treat project management skills as one full thing, like one set, one framework that you must use A to Z, from start to end. Okay, and you need to use step by step as I described. No, you should treat any framework, anything that you learn about project management as collection of pieces organized in a certain way that you can use in this way, because it shows you how to integrate it, but you need to treat it as separate pieces that you can reuse in a different way whenever you need it. The more important is to understand how to use each and every tool. Okay, I hope I answered this question. I rambled a bit, but that's a good point. The book shows a comprehensive project management approach, and no, most probably you won't need such comprehensive approach in the IT industry. All right. Most of the time, project managers expect to be Scrum Master. How to manage these stakeholder expectations? Another good question. Typical problem. Now, what's more important? What's more important is like your authority and title. So, does your employer and your project owners, your main stakeholders, perceive you as a Scrum Master or as a project manager? So I'm totally okay if I'm a project manager and I need to run a Scrum team as a Scrum Master. But you see the difference. I have the authority of a project manager. So when I'm not in the daily Scrum meeting or I'm not in the sprint planning sessions or other typical meetings, I go out from the team and I put the head of a project manager. And I use all the available tools related to stakeholder management, to anything. That is, again, in my toolbox. So that shouldn't stop me. The problem appears when you are actually a Scrum Master in title, like your title is Scrum Master and everyone perceive you as a Scrum Master, so you have this limited authority where you say, okay, you have to manage your team, and ideally you have to manage just a product owner, and product owner need to manage all other stakeholders, which usually isn't true. It doesn't happen this way. In this case, you are in trouble, and in this case, okay, it's up to you. But I would say that's not the environment where you should stay for far too long. You can gain your experience, but then if you want to build a career of a project manager, you need to move on so that you have more authority, more freedom to implement the project management tools and processes and gain the required experience. So what you can do right now is like, I assume that you are a project manager, then just use the same tools for stakeholder management and stakeholder expectation management techniques that you have. It's the only way you can do it is through communication. And in the book and in the program that I have like a list of 15 ways you can influence stakeholders through communication and through different patterns. In most cases, what you need to do is educate them time and time again that you are using Scrum. That's why we are not creating Gantt charts. We can create a roadmap, but we don't have tasks there. And in any case, you shouldn't plan any other activities based on one Scrum, one iteration plan. You should always give us some deadlines on when you want the product to be on the market or at any event, and based on that, we'll come up with a plan. The biggest miscommunication happens is in this promise that at the end of the sprint you get a fully finished product, which again is not true in most environments, in most companies. That's why right from the start of the project, you should build correct expectations that yes, it's potentially shippable product at the end of each iteration. But if you want to get it to the production environment, that's a different story because there are other phases that we need to get through. Unless you have this continuous integration, continuous delivery system, which allows you to do like one button deployment to production. If you don't have it with full test suite, forget. You need to build correct expectations that after you finish a sprint, if they decide to go to production, it will take maybe another 1 or 2 sprints to stabilize the application, prepare all the data required for production rollout, and so on. Whatever it takes to get to the final staging, to the final environment. All right, good question. I like. This is so practical and so common to see. All right, what we have next, more than 80% of projects fail over budget, behind schedule, unsatisfied score. How to handle it? Mindset shift. Step number one, to be aware of. Yeah, most of the time, if we're talking like this study, I saw all these stats, so you need to be very careful about the stats, because if you take IT projects, there is a bit different picture. So it's overall, whatever you call a project falls under these stats. But idea is the same. So the mindset is that you as a project manager should transparently communicate what's happening on the project. And most importantly, whether you are still confident in reaching the deadlines and budgets that you committed to. The problem becomes when the project management meets with the business. And usually what happens is that you have either like client vendor relationships, and you cannot actually tell all the truth and give all the transparency to the client. And it becomes a mess where you try to communicate that everything's fine while you are firefighting all day long and stuff like that. So the only way you can like deliver project successfully is by building the correct expectations and transparency about what's happening on the project. Because in most cases, clients are happy to help you finish the project successfully. They want to get the outcome of the project. They are not interested in making you fail, then going to the court, suing you, and like ruining your career. No, they hired the company, they hired you as a project manager to finish the project successfully. So whenever you see that, okay, we don't understand something, we don't know something, go to the meeting with these stakeholders, go talk with them and communicate what's the problem. If they come back to you and say that they have some expectations from you, from your team, from others, again, if you're like in client vendor relationships, then you go to the internal stakeholders and dig deeper there. And you can come back and say, okay, we don't know. Again, we still don't know what to do. That's why we are like said one thing, we didn't meet those commitments. We are still doing the work. Instead, you should always say, okay, we are confident, we're not confident about what we are doing. And if we're not confident, you develop together an action plan to eliminate this uncertainty. How does it look in practice? Like communication is not enough, of course. And in this case, what I talked about earlier, identifying deliverables, it's number one step. If you know what you need to create as a part of the project, like or all the pieces that will come up out of your project, you will get so much clarity on what problems you need to resolve. So if like one step that I would tell you to improve the statistics is to identify deliverables and be totally clear what requirements you need to implement each of these deliverable. After that, yes, you go into communication cycles with all your stakeholders, internal, external, and so on. There is like gazillion of tips and tricks depending on what the situation, but in most cases, lack of communication and lack of understanding how the end result looks like, and conflicting visions of how the end result looks like is the root cause of project failure. All right. What we have next? Even certified or experienced PM have same struggles. Totally agree, because certifications don't teach you problem solving. And they teach you the ideal framework of how the project management should look like in theory, but they don't teach you how to troubleshoot your project management approach, how to troubleshoot what's the next step. Again, I think I will repeat myself once more. You need to understand the life cycle of your current project. And if you are not in the IT or construction or any standardized uh, industry where life cycle is generic, then you will need to use a generic approach where you have project initiation and you try to understand what the heck do we need to do on a very high level. What's the vision of the final outcome? Then you if you have this vision, you will collect requirements. If you don't have this vision, you will still collect requirements, but on a higher level, you do this some decision making process to select one of the solutions that can help you reach the business objective of the project. And after that, the same project management approach using the same tools. The biggest caveat is that some projects have business goal and they don't know how to reach it. What's the solution that will help them reach the business goal? Then you need to do this research project to identify what's possible solutions you can use. Other projects don't have business goal and they want to create something that will help them drive business in some way. But that's the worst case scenario because if you don't know where you need to go, like no winds will be favorable to you. So in this case, it's very hard to control expectations because you cannot compare, okay, this is what you asked, this is what we deliver. You will be delivering something and we expected something completely different. That's why identify business goal for the project, identify the solution that everyone agrees that it will help you achieve the business goal. Again, after that, it's all the mechanics of project management. It's simple. All right, let me see next. Thank you for answers. I have seen the video utilized ChatGPT based on job description project manager on LinkedIn. This has to be repeated every time. This has to be repeated every time. Every time you apply to a new title, new job level, like if you apply to delivery manager in the IT industry, that's one career path. If you apply for senior technical project manager, it will be a different set of nuances that you need to cover in your resume. If you apply for a program manager, that's the third one. So every time for this dramatic title change, yes, you will need to do this exercise with ChatGPT. Okay, my current job is because of your book. Wow, thanks. That means a lot. Thanks for sharing. Is it very important to use DevOps methodology in software project development? No. I would say like DevOps is required at certain level of complexity. When you have a software development project which is very hard and time consuming to uh, like actually build and create these interim versions on any environment, that's when you start using DevOps methodologies and create automations to link your application together and make it as a whole system. So uh, small projects usually don't use DevOps. You can have some continuous integration, continuous delivery systems just to speed up your development process and delivery to the market. That's all. But when you have multiple components, when you have multiple databases, then yes, DevOps is mandatory because in most cases you will waste a lot of time to do it manually, to code it everything inside the application. So think about DevOps as a way to automate and simplify setting up all these environments. And if you are doing this software development in cloud environments and there are multiple components, I don't think you can avoid DevOps at current stage. All right. I work as a senior program manager for a new wing of established company. Recently, I was asked to work under pseudonym for another company that outsourced its project management to us. I find it's unethical, but I don't have another job lined up. Stressful to pretend to be someone else while managing projects. Yeah, so there is no simple answer. That's why what I recommend to my students of my mentorship program is that you should have a tested and proven resume, which will allow you to find another job when you need it. And that's why you keep it up to date, because this situation will happen from time to time with every single one of you guys. Something will be unethical. People will ask you to do unethical stuff. People will, I don't know, people will start uh, I would say resisting you if you start to develop your skills and you will start changing the environment. So from time to time, you'll get into a situation where you need to change the job, and you should be ready for that. That's why the biggest or like the most important stuff that you can do is to prepare yourself for unexpected job change and have enough skills and experience to find a new job faster than like you typically do if you change your job once every 3 5 years. It's not enough. So yeah, no simple answer. I still don't think that that's a big problem. Like they're outsourcing, they just don't know want that. Like it's not really a big problem. I worked under pseudonym myself some time just because they don't want to show the origin from where I come and where I work. It was like 15 years ago. So not something too big, but if I had to pretend I'm some other person on a meeting, yeah, so sorry, no. I would say I'm on board with you. It's not a good way to work. There should be some other ways to organize this. Okay, let me see. AI evolution and job cuts. What is the most important skill certification agile project manager could possess to future-proof career? Also, please suggest is any particular domain expertise will have an advantage. Okay, I think that AI will not be a problem for project management environment or career in any time soon. For one reason is that if you take a look broadly at how the AI tools develop, they have one main limiting factor is the input data. So no matter how much information they can collect from project management tools, from the internet, from any place out there, there is a tremendous amount of information which is not captured in any way, especially things like decision making, decisions made on emotions, decisions made on a gut feeling rather than hard data, communication that happened in the corridor and never captured as a point. So if you take any project like that, you will not put together enough input data for AI to make enough predictions to run even a similar project, because a lot of stuff still happening between human beings. With that said, the good skill to have right now is to be on this hype of AI tools. You need to test them, you need to try them, you need to find creative ways to use them. And for example, one of the ways you can start using it and maybe simplifying your work is using AI for requirements identification, requirements writing, requirements collecting, because there's so much opportunity to do the same work 10 times faster right now with AI tools that I would say business analysts are at bigger danger than project managers, because in most cases, a project manager can cover up for a business analyst. with an AI tool, while a business analyst will not be able to manage a project with a even specific project management AI capable tool. So just learn and try them, because at some point they will become a great tool that will be required as a like in job description, like your skills with Excel. Some companies still want you to be a proficient user with Excel. The same will be like in 5 years. You should be a proficient user with any AI tool that will be the most popular one at that point in project management space. Most important skills and certifications. So for Agile Project Manager, it's Scrum Master certified Scrum Master, PMP, and SAFe certifications. Additionally, any leadership and communication skills through advanced trainings will be beneficial. I also talked about last time about the skills of change management. Again, in the same topic. AI will come, and someone need to introduce these new approaches of using AI, new tools to use AI, to change, for example, your old Jira to a new AI-capable project management tool. So this will happen as change management projects. So what you want to explore is the change management frameworks that you can apply on organizational level. And it's a separate knowledge domain, separate courses, books, or whatever. It comes as I would say it's a superstructure, an additional layer to project management that you will need. So yeah, learn to use project like AI tools, get these free certifications I mentioned, and you should be good. Let's see. Can you kindly tailor an answer to tell me about yourself? All right, that's a good question. So, tell me about yourself. It's like a question that you get almost 95% of times on all interviews. And the main idea about this question that you need to understand that recruiters don't want to know all the details or the whole chronological history of your career starting from your institute or school. No. So what they need is some touch points where they can continue conversation so that they can say, okay, tell me more about this specific part of your career or your experience. Or they will continue with, okay, based on this last section that you said, can you tell me some situational questions? At the same time, they want to test you how good you are at communicating, because tell me about yourself requires you to be very succinct, or it's a very short answer where you need to put everything like bits and pieces which work as one story. That's why what I recommend is that you break down your career into about 3 periods, and you select just one key achievement that you want to highlight. For example, if you're a junior project manager, you would want to say how you became a project manager, what you did that earned you the title of project manager. Then you tell a story of how you managed your first project and how you overcome your problems. And then you tell a short story about your most recent experience. But if you are a senior project manager, that doesn't work the same way. If you start talking about, oh, I went to school, I went to this university, then I got my degree, blah, 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 but I didn't want to do that, I switched, that's too long. If you have like 7+ years of experience, you may mention quickly how you became a project manager, then you switch to how you gained experience and how you successfully finished first few projects. Then you tell a story how you got a more complex project. And then you tell your story how you generated additional value to the company. So you stop talking about specific projects, you start talking about achievements. That's how you tailor your tell me about yourself question. And the key here is that at the end of the answer, you should say, okay, do you want me to describe any of these experiences that I mentioned in more details? And if they say, yeah, tell me about this last project that you mentioned more, that's when you know that you did a great job, because you got their interest, you allow them to like continue conversation and stick to your experience rather than going into some theoretical field where they start asking you some random questions. By the way, I have a whole video about how to prepare for this question with some real examples, how I do it, so you can find it on my YouTube channel. All right. Also, can you give me a practical example of a real-life project? Laura, please give me some context here. Like, do you want me to give you a resource that describes a real-life project, or do you want me to mention some real-life projects from my experience, or what do you mean here? I don't get the question. Okay, what's the title of your book? So, the title of the book is Practical Project Management, Proven Framework that Great Project Managers Use in the Real World. So it's available on Amazon as a hard copy. In the UK, you definitely can get it. I'm pretty sure about that. You can get it in Kindle format, and you can get it from my site, a bit cheaper, I think, as an ebook with some bonuses. So yeah, at Amazon, you can find it quite easily, Practical Project Management, just like that. So it's available whenever Amazon prints the books. So in major Amazon sites. All right, let me see. Thank you. Looking forward for workshop and career transformation. Great. By the way, let me remind you that if you just joined, I invite you to my workshop. It focuses on how to become a senior project manager, or in general terms, the same framework applies how to get your next level job. And for 3 days, I will talk and share all my experience from mentoring project managers for 12 years and even more on how to write a resume, what to put in a resume, how to structure it, how to position it, how to change your identity so that recruiters and interviewers see you as a senior project manager. So it's so packed with all the transformative knowledge and like practical tips that you can use so that you can build a quick professional development plan for yourself to get to the senior project manager, or maybe you are a junior project manager, then to mid-level project manager. And most probably, if you fit into these typical ranges of the required years of experience, just by following my advice from this workshop will be enough to get a better job. So you don't need to get lots of certifications, trainings. It's all about making the most out of your current experience. So if you are interested, I'll be glad to see you live at the workshop. It's online. Just scan this barcode or go into the description and find the link there, register today, and I'll notify you when we will get to the workshop. All right. Let's see if we have some more comments. We have still a few minutes left. All right. Okay, I saw this. Sorry. Yes, please. Migration project. All right. I will tell you a story about. I would say I don't have migration project examples. It might be more specific to some tools that you use. I never did that specifically. So most of the projects I did were integration projects. They are about integrating different separate components or parts or tools into one system that works as a whole. So one of the examples, so I just need to think to ensure that I don't share something which is under NDA. So the idea of the project is that, let's say we need application, we need a service that will streamline and automate a typical process that happens all the time, and real people need to uh, read the information from the page, use some additional tools like Excel to calculate some data from that and come up with the end result. And the idea is that it takes 2 to 4 hours for each of such pieces for each document. So one of the projects that we had is that we need to use text recognition tool. So we take the PDF scanned document, send it to text recognition to get the text. Then we use another tool to uh, to feed it into an AI engine to find the correct wordings to understand what's on that sheet of paper, because depending on how you formulate it, it will impact how you need to calculate the end result. Then you need to capture all the numbers from that document and do the calculation in a different tool. So this is the typical integration project because you need to integrate different tools. And at some point, the challenge was, for example, that what tools do we use? And when we decided on the tool that we use, it appears that this tool has some limiting factors. It's not like out of the box solution that does exactly what we need. So in the process, we learned that we have to create certain rules to scan the document and collect information from specific areas of the document. And we had to research that these documents are usually templated. So yes, we can do it manually, at least for this version of the project. Now, the biggest challenge in case of integration projects is to understand what information to capture from one source and how to put it into the next tool in the line. Because if you imagine it, we're not sending just text files, like just blank text, like in the book, like in the document. We need to find the required information and put it into database or in file in any format that tool understands, and put it into the correct place. And it's all about mapping the data sources. So business analysts spend, I don't know, multiple days and weeks creating these charts because there are like hundreds and thousands of fields that needs to match and go into the right pieces. So second challenge is that it should be a very high loaded system which can process hundreds and thousands of documents in a span of seconds, minutes. So that was a different challenge where we need to understand what infrastructure to use based on the technology stack that we use. And in this case, we worked a lot with a group of architects, consultants to select the most appropriate way, then to make this, again, all three tools to communicate with this web function at that point, and so on. And as you can imagine, there was like about 7 steps, one way, and then the information the back way, and all of that needs to be connected together. And all of it requires the documentation, very specific documentation on the requirements on how you get data from one tool, how you transform this data, and put it into the second tool. The biggest challenge was that these tools were like not a set of a suite of tools. There were completely different tools written in different languages at different time errors. It was like one legacy system, one new system, one like few years old system. So you had to create a lot of in between stuff that allows these two tools to communicate. So that's the whole idea. And funny or not, we were managing this whole project with SAFe. So basically, it's just multiple Scrum teams working on different parts of this product, and specifically my team and a whole bunch of subject matter experts who are inputting and providing us the information. But basically, the whole project was done using Scrum framework, typical Scrum processes and meetings and tools, with a very experienced business analysts who could capture this kind of requirements. I think that's a key point here. And again, a lot of stakeholder management, because there were dozens upon dozens of subject matter experts where we need to collect inputs and transform them into the requirements. But again, we used user stories, we used spreadsheets for data mapping, we used a similar tool like Jira, Azure DevOps from Microsoft, nothing special, and communication after that. And I would repeat myself once again, guys. In that project, the key was to identify deliverables. And whenever you work in an IT project, one of the biggest source of deliverables where you must do it, it's the architectural design diagram, because you will see on a sheet of paper, in a document, all the components of this IT system and all the connections between this system. And each component on this diagram is your deliverable. And after that, it starts making sense what you need to produce as a part of your project. If you have two components, you have approximate understanding what these IT components are, like web function and server or database here. So you need to connect them and you need to communicate. You need some contract, it's called, like what information goes from one tool to another, what security measures needed. Then you're golden. You know what to do after that. After that, you just need to find the engineers who know how to implement it, and maybe DevOps team in this case. All right, I hope this gives some example of a big project. Unfortunately, nothing specific there, like nothing special to run it. Okay, can you share? Sorry, I don't get the question. Did I miss something? Please repeat your question. What can I share? I can share a lot. Thanks for great responses. You are welcome. I'm glad to see you here with me, hang out for almost an hour. All right, we have a few more questions. I'll try to answer them quickly and we'll need to wrap up quite soon. What will you say is the major setback for a person that is just getting into project management without prior experience? Well, basically, the main problem of becoming a project manager is the challenge in itself. You need to gain some experience that will prove that you have the talents and skills to run a small project. And a small project, I'm telling you, there are a lot of project management roles which require you to manage 4 engineers and maybe 5 stakeholders in total. So it doesn't require any project management skills. You just need to know how to communicate, how to motivate people, and how to organize their work. That's all. But the challenge is that in most other jobs, for example, you are a tech support engineer or you are an Uber driver. If you are an Uber driver, your environment just doesn't allow you to do any meaningful work as a project manager. So you need to change environment. You need to start working somewhere where you can try to do some kind of improvement as a project. And if I understand, maybe I didn't understand the question correctly. If you are saying if you are a new project manager and you're starting your career, what are the biggest challenges? In this case, stakeholder management, because people see you as a junior project manager, an inexperienced project manager, and you will radiate your inexperience and inconfidence, and people will take advantage of it. And usually it will look like they will start bossing you around, while actually they don't a have the project management skills or knowledge, and b they will not take responsibility for those decisions, and they will blame you for those problems after that. So if you just became a project manager, take this book. I share a lot of great stuff about practical stakeholder management in simple words, what you can do, what you should do, how you should do it. All right, so next, I'm transitioning from senior software engineer to technical program manager, I assume TPM. Your videos have been incredible, Phil. Thanks so much. I'm very glad to hear that. More than I can express in words. Thank you so much for supporting the comment. Okay, thanks. That's a great comment. It makes my day. Thank you so much for sharing. One tip for technical program manager, again, in this case, stakeholder management becomes even more important. Leadership becomes even more important. Why? Because most probably you will have to work with other managers, and you will not have direct impact or influence over their work. So you will have to find ways and go maybe to one step higher in the hierarchy to find influence on their bosses, on bosses, and so on, to manage the work of projects in your program. Just keep in mind. All right. Okay. So, recent interview, I was asked about learning new programming technologies. How should I handle questions like this? So, if someone asks you, again, do you have technical skills, or what most recent technical skills you got, you should say, well, definitely you should say that you are constantly developing your technical awareness. So just name a few technologies that you explored in the process. Maybe just have a templated answer like you were exploring the latest, like based on the news, what Microsoft or Amazon released in their tech stack. That shouldn't be a problem. But overall, if you hear this question, you answer it. Like I've been playing around with different ways to integrate project management tools like Jira with some AI tools. That will be great answer. You're exploring how to leverage AI for project management and tasks. In this case, do some research, do some like play around it, make it fun for yourself, make a hobby project where you will try to learn ChatGPT to write again user stories for you, or try automations in Jira. By the way, very powerful skill that almost like majority of companies will appreciate. Just go and learn automations in Jira. That's all you need. It's very simple. You'll have to learn a bit of Jira query language. You'll have to play around with automations. And for example, as a test project, automate capturing the start date and end date of a task. So based on the statuses change, capture the timestamps for a task so that you can export this data and do some BI on it or whatever. Have a template, like prepared answer for this question. But overall, at the end of the question, ask the recruiter or interviewing project manager, so do you expect me to take to make the technical decisions because From my philosophy is that as a project manager, I try to avoid making technical decisions. Instead, I leverage the expertise of subject matter experts, team members, and stakeholders to make education decisions based on their input, not myself. That would be the best answer. Can I ask a question? Definitely you can. How you can deal with interviewer that he is less experienced than you? Okay, there is a golden rule. If you come to an interviewer and you see that this interviewer is less experienced, don't show that to them. They shouldn't feel like you are better in any way, because what you will be competing with is that they will think they are better because they are inside their environment, and it will be true. For a short period of time, they will be better at project management inside this organization, inside this environment, but you will quickly catch up to that person. So while on interview, you should try to get on their level of knowledge. So don't use too much heavy terminology that they might not know. And second, don't make them feel stupid. Don't put yourself as I know it all. Like, have a normal conversation. Show them that you know stuff, that you know project management. But here's an important question. If you come to an interview and you face a less experienced person assigned to interview you, there might be two things happening. This environment is not enough for you. You will come here if you are not joining as a senior project manager, as a main horsepower of this company to create a culture of project management, then something's wrong. You might apply to a wrong role. This environment might be not a good fit for you, and so on. So use this such cases, and basically in any interview, it's a two-way conversation. You should ask them how do they see your role inside this organization, how they see you and your expertise inside this organization. So if you feel like they are arrogant and they interview from the position of unethical position again, then why do you care? Why do you even care that the interviewer is less experienced? You need to go to the jobs that require your level of expertise if you want to develop your career further. So again, I would say either you come there as a top talent to shape project management, or you don't go there at all. If you face a less experienced interviewer there. All right. What will be the solution architecture definition? Will that be the solution architecture? Okay. Major subject. Okay. I again don't get the context of the question. Will that be the solution architecture definition? I don't see. If it's related to this question, then no. It might be, but it's not 100% true in all cases. And please, if you can, please specify the question, because I don't understand it. Okay, Laura thinks it does great. Nice. I'm really glad that example worked. Hi, Max. Hello. Would you please tell me what is the best way to plan known unknown and unknown unknown while cost management? Great question, by the way. That's a really deep dive project management question. So for the known unknowns, you use risk management by the book. And the idea is that if you know an unknown, like you have some uncertainty or you have risk that may or may not happen. You have your if you are talking about cost management, so you have your most probable, not optimistic, but most probable or even pessimistic estimate for the cost of deliverable. I would assume that risk is happening on the deliverable level. So it impacts how much the whole deliverable will cost, and it will be proportional to the size of the budget of that deliverable. So you have your estimate for the task with either realistic or pessimistic estimate, and you have a transparent risk reserve, which will say if a very specific risk happens, if, for example, it will take, like, there is a possibility that this task just takes 2 times more if, like, we couldn't find a solution on the internet. I don't know. Then it will cost 2 times more, and this is the specific risk reserve for that case. And that's how you plan known unknowns. And if the risk happens, if the known unknown appears, materializes, you will use it. If not, you will remove this reserve and give it back to the project owners, like metaphorically or very specifically. If you have unknown unknowns, you still use them as risks, so you describe them as risks. The only challenge is that known unknowns should become the top priority to get certainty about. So they become either top assumptions that you need to prove, and then if you have a big unknown in costs, you say, and it's like, it's really serious to the extent that it may fail the project. It's not just like extra 5-10% for the work. It's like, boom, it might be double the cost for this project if our assumption is wrong. Then you need to restructure the project and its life cycle in such a way that you do some work, and usually it's like proof of concept or some research, where you spend proportionally small amount of money to verify the assumption. In this case, you will not waste all those reserves and even maybe will not start a project at the first place, but you will verify and you get some certainty about this big unknown. That's how you treat it. If they are smaller in size, then unknown becomes a typical risk. You just say, okay, if you can even say, like, if you have good relationship with customer, you can say, like, based on our experience and gut feelings, guys, most probably you will ask us to change a few things. That's why let's put an extra budget for things that will come to the project, to the product later, because I'm 100% sure we will need those money to implement additional features that you will request. I hope this helps. If you have more specific example of unknown, we can try to discuss it separately. Just post it in the comment. All right. So thank you, Lev, for your answer. My pleasure. Let's move on. Your resources are of great help. Thanks a lot. All right. I'll take this as a last question because we are almost an hour and a half, and my voice is breaking already. So project management varies widely, especially in small businesses or startups focused on reducing costs and time. As a PM, how can you encourage them to follow a standard? How can you encourage them? That's a $1 million question that you ask, guys. That's really cool. I would say that you don't encourage, like, when you say startups and small businesses, you don't encourage the whole team to use a standard approach. Instead, you say that if we apply this, or if we use this tool or this approach, these are the benefits. And these benefits usually should be like saving money or making money for the company. You are selling your ideas all the time. So rather than trying to say that, oh, it will make our work more transparent, we will have all the tasks in a simple, streamlined way. No, you say, guys, we are wasting time on discussing each and every requirement. Like we spend 1 hour on a meeting of 10 people, and it costs us, and you calculate the cost of a meeting. Instead, we can use Jira as our main tool with proper user stories, which do not require us to meet to understand the basic ideas of this requirement. On the meeting, we just discuss quickly the details. Boom, you solved it. Put the like my top recommendation is always put a price tag on each improvement that you make in project management, and put a price tag on every on the consequences of not following your approach, rather than trying to do this convincing or like encouraging people to do it. In small businesses and startups especially, all the changes should come from the top. These companies are very agile, they can quickly change. If the CEO, if top management do not support your change, it will be pain in the ass. Because if you just get a communication from the top that from now on everyone should follow this standard approach, if you have any questions, reach out to our key project manager or lead project manager who will explain you how to use it. That's all you need. So don't try to work with the whole company, work with decision makers. And when you work with decision makers of small companies, sell them the ideas. Put the price tags on doing or not doing the things right. All right, guys, I will wrap it up. Max, thank you for your answer. What is the reasonable percentage of unknown in IT project? There is no standards. I would say there are some books that say that at the start of the project it can be -50 to +150% of project budget. It's like if someone comes you on this, I don't know, onboarding call or intake call for the new customers, then you can say, okay, it's like 6 to 8 months or something like that. So don't focus so much on reasonable percentages. You should rather take each big deliverable or big product, big part of the product, and say the range for each of them, rather than saying the range for the whole project. And you do it based on your understanding and confidence level of delivering this feature. All right, guys. One last time, I will invite you for the workshop. You know the drill. There will be a lot of cool stuff, more packed than our conversations here, because I will be teaching and sharing what I learned through 12 years of mentoring project managers. I will give you a framework that you will use for the rest of your career. I will give you a framework of writing resume that recruiters will see. And going forward after this workshop, you'll discover a way to plan your career in this 90 days cycles, so that you can rapidly build career and get to the next level. And if you follow the advice of this workshop, I'm pretty sure you can go search for job search and get a job offer that is better than you have right now. So if you want to join, just find the link in the description below this video. Register, it's free, it's online. We'll meet in the similar setup where we will work through your professional development plan. So thank you so much for staying with me for so long. Thank you so much for your questions. By the way, next week, we will have another live Q&A session where I will be answering your interview questions the way I answer them. So I'll try to answer them as if I'm on an interview based on your comments. So look for the announcements, and I hope it will